This is the fourth in a series of videos on program sequence. We have discussed a variety of other examples, but we want to offer one more example that might be if you were actually controlling a robot. In our case, it's going to be a special case in a spreadsheet. But think about what if we had to control a robot or any system that had to move in a particular direction or accomplish a certain path. So we take a look at our first moves for our robot, and let's look at what that means on a spreadsheet. I've got our little red square. We'll just assume he's a robot. So we come back here and it says to move one space, move one space, move one space, and turn right. So we're going to move one space, move one space, move one space, and now we're going to turn right so that we're now pointed this direction. Okay? We'll go to the next one here. The next moves are going to be to move again one space 3 times and then turn right. So we'll move one space, move one space, move one space, and right where we're at, we're going to turn right. So we're now pointed this direction. We'll go to the next one. Next moves here are to do the same thing again. We're going to move one space 3 times and then turn right. So we're going to move one space, move one space, move one space, and then we'll turn right so that we're pointed this direction now. And we'll go to the next step here, which call for simply moving one space 2 times. So we'll move one space and we'll move one space. Now what we've accomplished is drawing this red square in our spreadsheet. What we could have accomplished is actually having a robot draw a square on a carpet or on a floor, in fact follow a given path. And certainly we don't have to make it a very simple square. We could have very complicated paths for the robot, but the bottom line for that there is that we would be placing one step before the next. In other words, what do we want the robot to do next? And in the appropriate sequential order. It was not going to work if we told the robot to turn right too soon or too late. We had to take our steps, then turn right, then take our steps, and then turn right. When we get down to it, that's really all programming is about. It's placing one step before the next in the appropriate order. And that's how we get to our program, with one other little exception, and that is somewhere before we actually start writing all this code and programming words, we have to figure out what steps should be. In other words, how we're going to solve the problem. And we will take a look at that in later times. So that will finish up this video on programming sequence.